The Force Unleashed series let players take control of the Force in ways unfettered by continuity or common sense. For the first time in history, LucasArts and Industrial Light and Magic collaborated to ensure that Star Wars The Force Unleashed featured Hollywood special effects and utilised groundbreaking simulation technology, enabling gamers to live out their wildest dreams as a Force-wielding powerhouse. The Force Unleashed is a 2008 Star Wars multimedia project spearheaded by LucasArts with direct input from Star Wars creator George Lucas. Those of you who are old enough to remember Shadows of the Empire will remember that Lucas had previously explored the commercial possibilities of creating new chapters in Star Wars, but without going so far as to make a movie. Much like Shadows, The Force Unleashed was a content flotilla consisting of video games, comic books, novels, action figures, Lego, and more. The Force Unleashed was set in the fertile ground between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Darth Vader abducts and trains a clandestine apprentice to hunt down the remaining Jedi after the execution of Order 66. He unwittingly puts into motion events which would prove pivotal not only to his own destiny, but events which would forever shape the future of the Star Wars universe. The games bridge the then two film trilogies without compromising any existing canon and staying firmly anchored in the waters of Star Wars. The games brought new ideas to the table, like cool new lightsaber designs, or the Felucians, the tribal plant people on the planet Felucia. Originally based on the Witches of Dathomir, the Felucians eventually became much more original, but they still feel very Star Warsy. Vader's apprentice is called Starkiller, which is actually one of the first names George Lucas ever thought up for Luke Skywalker. That name banded around Lucasfilm HQ for 40 years before finding a use. LucasArts project leader Hayden Blackman had previously worked on Star Wars games, but has also written a lot of Star Wars comics and 2 of the essential guides. A love of Swamp Thing comics gave Hayden Blackman a sympathetic insight into monsters. Starkiller starts his journey as the monster, but as he completes Vader's bidding, he starts to question his purpose, so beginning his journey to the light. Starkiller's journey made him a cool character for Star Wars, not least because Blackman worked closely with actor Sam Witwer to create a character who would resonate with fans. Witwer was actually auditioned on the strength that he looked a bit like some concept art by Amy Beth Christensen. He was playing Crashdown in Battlestar Galactica at the time, but Lucas reeled him in and was surprised to find that he was Star Wars fan number 1. His understanding of the universe made him a natural fit for the part. Since playing Starkiller, Witwer went on to voice Emperor Palpatine, he was Darth Maul in the Clone Wars, and he even got a role in Episode 7. Talk about living the dream! Starkiller's supporting cast of Juno Eclipse, whose name incidentally was originally thought up for Clone Wars character Asajj Ventress, along with the deadly training droid Proxy, give the story that essential Star Wars emotional grip to counterbalance all the explosions. In order for the player to wield the Force as a legitimately unleashed gameplay component, LucasArts corralled the output from 3 multi-million-dollar companies to complement their own in-house tech. The first of which was the now commonplace Havok physics solution. Made famous for its use in Halo, Havok simulates collisions and other physics calculations based on the real-world properties of the objects interacting. These interactions are further enhanced with digital molecular matter, an extremely detailed and realistic material physics engine developed by the second company, Pixelux Entertainment. DMM simulates what would happen to any given material when impacted, whether lightsabered or smashed into by a flying stormtrooper. Before DMM, game surfaces interacted with predetermined keyframed animations. With DMM, the breaking point of each surface is calculated in real time, taking into account the mass, direction, and speed of the interacting materials. Every interaction is different, meaning chucking troops around a hangar bay never gets old. The third company was Natural Motion with their Euphoria middleware. Euphoria gives characters advanced biomechanical AI, allowing these characters to realistically respond to being zapped by space wizards. If an enemy is force pushed, he might grab onto a railing or other soldiers. He might grab a gun and fire back. One producer described Euphoria as the AI's will to live. Blackman's go-to line was that LucasArts wanted to make sure something visceral and cool happened every time you pushed a button. Gamers were truly in control of a Force wielder whose powers were genuinely unleashed. In fact, Starkiller's power was so strong it could reach outside of the universe, sending great disturbances into the fandom. as if thousands of voices suddenly cried out in nerd rage. A cancelled third game promised co-op play as players controlled both Starkiller and Vader, who reluctantly team up to stop one of the Emperor's schemes. Whitwer was on board and remarked that he and Blackman had spoken about the story. Blackman, though, had left LucasArts before Force Unleashed 2 had shipped, leaving a large creative hole in the team. After the Disney buyout of Lucasfilm, LucasArts was an early casualty, and all in-development work, including Force Unleashed 3, 1313 and many more, were either canned or they were reshuffled to suit the upcoming Episode 7. Blackman's plan of an open-world adventure could likely have grated against what Disney were planning, and this is possibly why Blackman left in the first place. The Force Unleashed series were international bestsellers, praised for their compelling story, awesome technology, impressive art, and Jesse Harlin and Mark Grisky's soundtrack. The second game attracted some negative reviews for a shorter story, but both games are seriously worth your time, either as a fan of Star Wars or as a fan of video games. The technology and the story will both be viewed, by me at least, as key milestones in the history of LucasArts and the history of Star Wars.
Perfect. Perfect.